Standard biology defines the human brain as a strictly caloric machine. It requires a heavy, uninterruptible stream of glucose and water to maintain basic operations. If that fuel stops, the system collapses. Records exist that contradict this rigid machine model. Prahlad Jani became the center of a decade-long medical observation after claiming to have survived for over 70 years without food or water. Between 2003 and 2010, the Defense Research and Development Organization subjected Jani to a total medical lockdown. Teams of defense scientists monitored him around the clock with continuous video surveillance, ensuring no outside resources entered his environment. Jani consumed 0 calories and 0 liquids during the study. He produced no biological waste. Despite this, he demonstrated high cognitive sharpness and the physical agility to climb a flight of stairs without any assistance. This defies the caloric model, much like terminal lucidity defies our understanding of brain decay. In late-stage Alzheimer's patients, people with severely damaged neural tissue often regain full, clear consciousness moments before death. Near-death experiences show similar patterns, with hyper-lucid awareness occurring even after cardiac activity has completely flatlined. If a brain stripped of fuel or riddled with decay can still facilitate peak awareness, the baseline map of human biology is missing its most important variable. Understanding these anomalies requires looking at the actual hardware specs of the human nervous system. We carry a neural network that is vastly over-engineered for the simple survival tasks we typically give it. The physical infrastructure comprises 80 billion neurons, managing over 100 trillion synaptic junctions. Rather than storing files on a drive, the brain processes information associatively. Its capacity equates to 2.5 petabytes, enough space for 300 million hours of video. This massive computational load runs on almost no power. The entire biological network operates on a mere 20 to 30 watts of electrical current, roughly the energy used by a dim refrigerator bulb. We possess a remarkably hyper-efficient supercomputing processor. We typically utilize only a fraction of its power because we operate under a limited understanding of how its internal architecture actually functions. The brain is not a static machine. It contains a biological mechanism for self-directed hardware upgrades called neuroplasticity. This mechanism defines the brain as an open biological system. It physically alters its anatomical structure based on the specific thoughts and experiences it processes. Modern imaging technologies provide the proof. When researchers monitor patients with electrodes or functional MRIs, they see that sustained focus or specific emotional states physically activate and reinforce different neural pathways. Repeated inputs dictate the physical architecture. Routine stress or fear wires the network for reactive survival, while intentional concentration builds denser, more efficient cognitive networks in the prefrontal cortex. Every held thought acts as a physical tool, actively sculpting anatomical connections within the gray matter. Ancient traditions utilized this physical flexibility long before modern imaging existed. Techniques like deep meditation and fasting serve as early methods for biological optimization. Decades of study on long-term practitioners show deep, disciplined meditative states physically thicken the tissue of the frontal lobes, the area responsible for executive control. This structural upgrade results in a measurable capability. Practitioners gain the ability to manually override primal impulses, such as anger or panic, by relying on these newly fortified cognitive pathways. Controlled fasting forces a parallel adaptation. By deliberately restricting typical fuel, practitioners push their systems to activate cellular energy pathways standard biology rarely utilizes. These methods demonstrate that directed mental practice is a primary driver of biological change. They used the brain's inherent open architecture to bypass typical metabolic and cognitive limits. These feats raise a question that challenges the core of modern neuroscience. We assume biology creates consciousness, but evidence suggests consciousness may be the force directing the biology. The standard model is bottom-up. Cells interact, chemistry follows, and awareness emerges as a passive result. Frontier research is shifting toward a top-down model. Under this framework, awareness acts as a deliberate controller. Focused attention can manually modulate neural receptor sites, steering the flow of chemical signals to physically reshape the neural network. While modern engineering attempts to bridge the brain with external silicon chips, our internal awareness already functions as a highly sophisticated interface. We simply haven't learned to use it. Consciousness acts as a deliberate driver, commanding the body's physical systems and expanding its perceived limits. The same mechanism that allows for metabolic survival, directed physical rewiring, governs our daily cognitive health. You can engage this process through directed attention. Focused, unbroken attention is the most effective tool we have for altering our biological state. This doesn't require extreme deprivation. Dedicating a specific portion of the day to intentional focus, whether through deep learning or quiet meditation, initiates the anatomical change. Over time, this consistency fortifies emotional resilience. It weakens the reactive circuits of the brain and constructs a higher-performing cognitive architecture. We are the active engineers of our own potential. By choosing what we focus on, we are choosing the physical shape of the mind.